what's up guys? I've got Harry Van Eeden here, second place locals at Lawrence Somerset West. Most of the big guys were at regionals, but it was still quite a big event. Yeah, it was playing Tri-Brigade with a smaller Lyrilusc package, as you'll see now.
So I ended up playing a smaller package instead of the full bird up thing because I was testing out how the variants of the two will work. Not quite sold on the full package yet, but let's get the profile. So we play the full suite of Tri-Brigade names, 3 Fractal, 3 Keras, 3 Kit, and 3 Noble.
I saw a lot of people trying to play one Kit or one Keras, or like cutting down on those two names. What do you think about that?
Since I play Desires in this deck, I don't like the thought of banishing multiple copies of them, because once you go through your combo, you usually attempt to resolve Desires then to search for either hand traps or other disruptive cards to continue your combos. And if you banish too many copies, your follow-up is very dead. So that's it for the Tri-Brigade names. We have our birds in double Wagtail, triple Cobalt Sparrow, 2 Sapphire Swallow, and double Turquoise Warbler. I'm not quite sold on the ratios of these yet. I'm gonna probably mess around a little bit more, but that's what I played, and it did sufficient. I found that this was a bit dead for me since I didn't have a ton of ways to get it out. That could be a fault of my deck building, but we'll see.
How many bird calls did you end up playing?
Only the one. I was about to get to that. I only played the one bird call because it feels too restrictive in the sense that I wasn't playing a lot of targets, and you need, while you can just search Turquoise Warbler, it isn't doing a ton for my deck at that point. I would need to have bird call and another target in play. A lot of the time what I was doing is I was summoning this off of Fergie to search bird call, and I would hopefully have another name which would be searching this thing, and then use the second name to bring it out and get a search for an additional either Tri-Brigade monster or, as you'll see later on, a DD Crow or just another name for follow-up.
Okay.
Let's move on to spell traps. We play the 2 Revolt. Obviously, because I mentioned earlier, we play 2 Desires, but I'll get to that in a second.
Hey, yo, you know Tinky's at 3, right?
Yeah, but I felt that I've never really struggled to get to Fractal, and it only having 3 targets in this whole deck, it kind of feels like once you go for them, you're just drawing dead cards at that point. So admittedly, you can use it to search, but I felt 2 is fine. Considering I also run, as I said, the 2 Desires, I'm always getting to my Tri-Brigade names one way or another. That's it for Spell Trap in the deck. Basic non-engine cards, I should say. Let's get to hand traps. So we run 3 Ash because we just hate branded. It's also good against a lot of what you expect in the format. Ash is just generic. It comes up against, even if it's not hugely impactful, it's always putting in work against things you don't want to see. Play the 2 Veiler, simply because I need to hit certain things. It's good for board breaking or preventing cash from setting up their back row disruption, you know, the whole block your board thing.
Would you consider playing Morna over Veiler simply because you can use Morna under Shifter?
You see, I wouldn't, simply because I play the 3 Imperm as well. Imperm is a more utility card than anything. While it's being able to be used as a negate to either set up on your turn 1 where you just set in the back row and disrupt the monster effect, or if you're trying to stop a certain spell trap that is floodgating you, like stuff like Gozen or Rivalry or whatever you're going up against. I've always felt that it's quite strong, and it's just so generic. This is my favorite card so far that I've been playing the past couple of weeks. Bell. Bell being able to stop Runic's draw, Branded's fusion summons, and Morensis' searches even, has come up so much. I honestly want to put this to 3, and I might cut a Vela for it. Then we're playing the 1DD Crow mentioned earlier because it's searchable on this deck in so many ways with Shurig or our Exceed monster in the extra deck. And then 42nd and 41st card, Call By is just your disruptor. For most cases, it stops hand traps from that would hit your Fractal, but it's also used as a disruption itself against branded stuff like if they attempt to expulsion you and give you Roll Disciple or the what's the thing, the Gimmick Puppet monster, I don't know what it's called.
Gimmick Puppet Nightmare?
Yeah, that's the one. And then as I said, 42nd card is Foolish because Foolish can start a combo on its own. That's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra. So we'll start with the big links. We play the 2 Fractal.
Has the third one never come up for you, or do you not miss it all?
So I've always found that the third Shurig, I should say, has... If you need the third one, you've either already lost the game, or you're about to win it anyway, and it's never needed. Admittedly, in the bird version of the pure bird up, I would definitely play a third because you have more names and you can use one turn 1 for searches. I don't do that a ton in this version of the deck. Moving on, we play the 1 Appaloosa because this is usually your end board along with Revolt, and we play the 1 Access Code because access code for game is just how things work. Access Code is just your turn 3, turn 2 board breaker that does everything you want it to when you want to clear the game. What's there to say about that? On for link 3s. I play the 1 Heraldsgull and I'm really happy with this card.
Just 1 link 3? Aren't you worried about not being able to make access code consistently?
Yeah. So I found a lot of the time Heraldsgull's graveyard effect is funny because not its graveyard effect, but its great interaction with the graveyard. Being able to recycle, shuffle stuff back from the graveyard as a disruption is good. But also, if you have nothing in graveyard, he doubles his stats. And a lot of the time I found that effect is a lot more live than I gave it credit for. So sometimes I don't even have to make access code. Only playing the 1 link 3 has felt risky. I've been testing it the past couple of weeks and I'm still on the fence about it.
Okay.
We play our double Ferrigite for our link 2s. You always need a second one. Anyone who plays one of these, I will fight you. Okay, you have to play 2 of this card. You use it turn 1, and you usually use it on turn 3 and you follow up as well. We play the 1 Bear Broom though, because even though I play 2 Revolt, you're only really searching it once. If you need to search it a second time, something has gone wrong with this deck. The effect on field surprisingly came up more than I anticipated. The effect to summon from Banish Pile, because I was often finding that I drew more names than I cared to use that turn, and being able to recycle them and bring them out from the Banish Pile was way better than I thought. And our final link too is Double Dragon Lords. And this has been particularly good, just being able to use 2 materials to summon out a disruptive card that can either bounce monsters or, more importantly, annoying floodgates like skill drains, since he can just send himself to bounce that back to hand. As well as stuff like they're just continuous spells that need their effects to resolve. It's just good, generically good for that. And then our final link is Lightheart. And the only reason I play this is simply in the grind, you might not have the resources you want. 1 banish can get you into a Ferrigite and you can continue plays from there without having to expend more resources from your hand. That's it for the links. Then we play our Exceed monsters in Assembled Nightingale and Restless Starling.
Okay, gotta ask, you know Restador is at 3, right?
I mean, it's at 2, isn't it?
I'm actually not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's at 2, but I don't have space in this extra deck for a second copy. Maybe if I cut the Lightheart, or I don't feel like it's a good idea. For a UFD line, it could be cool, but I don't think this deck is designed well for that.
So it's just like Ferrogy Turbo then, I'm assuming.
Yes, a lot of time it's just summon Ferrogy and get your play on. Restless Starling, just being able to search any of your level 1s is important because, as I said earlier, the DD Crow that we play one of is searchable via Shuri. This being able to get it is just amazing. The stat buff came up, and I was surprised about that.
Rested also gives you a Appaloosa on 5th summon, doesn't it?
I mean, yes, but it's inconsistent, and it's not. How do I put this? It's not consistent enough for me to consider it that way. I guess just the only way I can describe it. Let's move on. A simple Nightingale is just threatening Zeus all the time. This card attacks directly, and then if your opponent has any targeting effects, they can't do anything. So this against Naturia Runic is just annoying because it can clear the field spell and whatever monster they have in the legacy. And while it can get shuffled back, then you set up a Zeus play, as you have to threaten that. So they have to expend their next lot of disruption on that as well. We obviously play the 1 downer just to give Zeus another material. The piercing on downer is something people forget about. It steals games occasionally in time. And then obviously we play the big boy Zeus for clearing fields. In this deck it's really good because you can use the bird's effect to keep stacking them underneath, and you can sometimes end up with a 6-mat Zeus rather than just a 2 or a 4. Alright, let's move on to the side deck. I'm doing a lot of testing, so forgive me the ratios.
Ooh, the spice.
More like the head case. We are playing 2 Nibiru because it's just good this format against Cash, or even Runic summons 5 times occasionally before they make a negate. We're playing triple evenly. This has been amazing for me since I got it. Thank you, Traptrick Structure Deck. We're playing the 2 anti-spell. I was expecting branded, so obviously we play anti-spell, but I didn't want to commit too hard. So I wanted to play something that I could use against other matchups. So I ended up playing 2 D-Barrier as well. And then the probably game-ending, turn-ending card is Featherstorm. And this is just you stick a bird like a Rel's Gull or any one of the low-level birds, and you activate this, and your opponent just ends their turn a lot of the time.
So out of Anti-Spell, D-Barrier, and Featherstorm, what did you find was the best for you?
Honestly, it was a bit of a mix. The only deck I struggled with at locals was branded, and all of these just hurt that really terribly. However, I found that Featherstorm ended the turn while Anti-Spell still allowed them to set up for the follow-up. So I was considering just playing Featherstorm Anti-Spell, but I'll probably test next week and see what 3 of each do of these, and then we'll move on from there. Let's move these out of the way. Oops. And other board breakers we play is double Lightning Storm, 1 Duster, and Variety 1 Twister. So obviously Tri-Brigade has an effect where you can use Nova when you discard a Twin Twister, but honestly I just played it because I was scared of drawing too many copies of Lightning Storm. I like to have variance in my board breaking cards, so that's why you see a lot of 2-ofs instead of 3-ofs, because I'm unsure of how well I'll draw. As I always get a bit nervous when I'm breaking boards, so I like to play multiple copies of different things, so once per turns aren't a factor.
Quite good. Obviously, Twin Twisters gives the utility of blowing up the back row in the end phase. If you want that, it can also just be a draw phase out to play around the Miller Pop.
Not even just that, I like to use this occasionally on the end phase to stop the fountain from being up during my turn.
That's true if they don't want to commit to the Hugin, so they have their draws. If they don't have like extra runic spells, it can be quite good, yeah?
Things I would change from what I've faced.
Well, not from what you faced, just changes in general. What would you change?
As I said, I would shuffle the birds' names around. I'm really unsure, that's why I'm still testing it. The full suite of birds is just something you have to really take a personal test with. I know there's been a lot of testing over the past, was it 2 years now? That deck's been out, technically playable. But one bird call I felt was enough if you play enough copies of this, because you're always using some variance of either this or your exceeds to get to a copy of this card, and then you are summoning it with Ferrigite or your Sapphire Swallow. So I feel like this is fine because it is not the main engine of the deck at the moment. In pure bird up versions of the deck, I would consider 2 or 3, but this isn't quite that.
Okay.
Obviously, side deck options, I said I'm testing to see what's better against the format. I'm still quite undecided. Final thoughts. The format with Cash, Runic, and Branded is a weird triangle that they counterplay each other a lot of the time, so it's very difficult to be prepped for everything. You kind of need to realize what your deck is good against and then play against its weaknesses, or side deck for its weaknesses and play to its strengths.
Okay. Well, this has been Harry Van Eeden, second place locals at the Warren Somerset West hobby store. If you enjoyed, leave a like and a comment down below if you have any criticisms or other suggestions that we might add for testing and whatnot. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.